Hi, it's Rich Tarani in the TMC newsroom. We are here at Interop 2009 in New York. It's a brisk fall day, and we're speaking with Rick White, who's the CMO of Fusionio. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks for being on our program. Tell me about your company, please.
Well, thanks for having me. Fusionio is the company I work for, and we're having a lot of fun. Right now, the solid-state industry is just taking off leaps and bounds.
Solid-state hard drives.
Yeah, actually solid-state storage, yeah, in general. In fact, our products are primarily based on flash, so flash memory or NAND flash, and we build enterprise products around the same piece of silicon that goes into your iPod, your iPhone, various different consumer devices. And what we do is we take those little pieces of silicon and we put hundreds of them on a single card with a very advanced controller and then very specific software. And when you put that in your enterprise server, you can do some amazing things. And where we're focused is accelerating applications. And in fact, just today we announced a deployment for the US government. We have two deployments going out. One's a national lab where we're doing several hundred terabytes of pure solid state storage, and performance is 1 terabyte a second.
Wow.
It's amazing, and that's 220 of our drives. Now let's put that in perspective. 220 of our drives, but it takes over 50,000 hard disk drives to get the same performance.
So an order of magnitude.
Oh
is
yeah,
what we're talking
several.
about.
You're talking about 132 racks of disk drives versus 6 racks of our drives and servers.
So I imagine there's a lot less heat.
A lot less
Right?
heat, a lot less power, a lot less maintenance. I mean, when you have 50,000 disks, and if you have 5%, 10% failure a year, literally you've got someone walking up and down the aisles every day replacing disk drives.
So you mentioned something a little bit earlier. You mentioned there's some intelligence in your systems that takes off-the-shelf commercial technology, or I should say consumer technology, and actually allows this technology to be used in government and enterprise applications. So subsequently, you must have some intelligence that allows you to bridge what is traditionally consumer-grade technology into mission-critical applications. How do you do it?
Exactly. Actually, that's what makes us so unique. We actually take these little pieces of silicon and we take on a single card that's 5 inches by 2 inches, 5 inches long by 2 inches wide, and we'll put 200 of these chips or NAND die. That's like 200 disk drives. So if you were to think of a SAN or a big storage array full of disk drives,
Right.
you might fit 190, 200 disks in that full refrigerator-sized SAN, right? And then you're going to have controller nodes, you're going to have switches,
Sure.
a lot of cables. Well, it's the same with ours. Our intellectual property, our controller technology, acts a lot like a storage node or a controller node in a SAN. And it acts a lot like a switch, like say a Brocade switch.
Sure.
Switching between the 200 NAND die, treating them as though each of them is their own hard drive.
Right.
And we aggregate that performance.
Right, and so you're also able to shut down sectors on these virtual hard drives in case there's a problem where something's not working correctly, right? Well, I suppose that happens all the time, right?
That's interesting that you would say that. We're the only company today that can shut down individual NAND die and actually take it offline with a parity chip and then go ahead and block out the piece that's bad and then bring that chip back online. So we have what's like RAID 5 redundancy chip to chip. No one else has that.
So you're able to determine the portion of the chip that's actually not performing, and then you block it out effectively, allowing the functioning portion to still be used.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're maximizing the life. And now the next question that the viewers probably have is, all right, what is this going to cost me compared to traditional solutions?
Well, that's a great question, actually, because when you look at what they're doing today, today's solutions are, okay, I throw a lot of RAM in my server.
Sure.
And high-density RAM is not cheap.
Right.
I think we all would agree it's over $80, $85 a gig when you start getting up to the high-density RAM. 80, 90, 100, $125 a gigabyte. Our solution is under, depending on which solution you buy, can be roughly $30 a gig or less.
So you eliminate the hard disk, and on top of that, so there's no hard disk cost, Right? And on top of that, you don't have to deal with the massive caching issue because the drive effectively becomes cache.
And that's what we really are. We're like a cache. In fact, that's the best way to look at it. If you thought of us like a new memory tier, so if you go hard drive, because we're not saying replace a hard drive. Hard drives do one thing really well: cheap capacity. Where they fall down is when it comes to performance. Because when it comes to performance, I have to RAID hundreds of them together, fiber channel, very expensive disks with switches, host bus adapters, all specifically tuned for performance. Suddenly I'm paying $65, $75 a gig for a drive that cost me 75 cents a gig for just the drive. But by the time I add RAID controllers, host bus adapters, fiber channel switches, director nodes, proprietary software for thin provisioning and management and the rest, I could be over $100 a gig.
Space? Electricity?
And then space, you know, the announcement today.
I don't want to do your job for you.
Hey, you're doing a much better job. You know, like I said, I'm pinch hitting for somebody today.
Oh, you're doing great.
But yeah, space is a huge one. Today, the announcement, we took the government installation, like I said, from 132 racks. It was the size of a basketball court, down to 6 racks, something that could fit in a New York kitchen. And you know how small that is, right? And not only that, the throughput is 1 terabyte a second.
Very exciting.
That's huge. No one even comes close to 1 terabyte a second.
So what are you seeing in 2010? What do you think the market's going to look like? Will demand be there for your products?
Absolutely. And again, as a new memory tier, we're not trying to replace disk drives. Our product fits in a PCI Express slot. Disk drives take drive bays, buy huge disks, 2 terabyte disks, do archiving, capacity, cheap. When it comes to performance, that's where we fit.
So performance storage.
Yeah, we've got
solutions.
Performance like RAM with capacity like disk. We sit in between RAM and disks, and we fill that void.
Very exciting.
Thanks.
Thank you for being on the program, and good luck.
Hey, thanks for having me. Take care.